Okay, so I am hoping that I can edit some of what that was just all about. But I am going to leave a little bit of it on there because I want parents to see, especially if you have kids in older grades right now, you might be kind of feeling nervous about how you're supposed to be a teacher when you didn't sign up to be one, or maybe it's not your passion like it is mine. But I want you to see that even me, or not like I'm something big, but everybody gets to a point where maybe they step back and say, what am I doing? What is going on here? I am so confused. And actually that just happened to me when I was reading this book. So I was going through the book, and like I was telling the kids, it's pretty old. But as I was going through, I read the first page and then I read the second, and it just was not making sense to me. I felt like a big part of the story, like there was one page where that brother and sister bear were getting along, and then all of a sudden, as I'm reading it, they're not getting along and there wasn't an explanation. But I thought, well, there's actually a good lesson to be learned there. Yeah, I knew it didn't make sense. I suppose I could have kept reading, but I couldn't figure out what was going on myself, so I pushed stop. Went back and investigated, and back in the day, one of the pages must have fallen out, just, a double page. And when I really, really looked, it had been taped back in, just into the wrong spot. So I found the right spot for it, taped it back in, and now I'm hoping it's a story that makes better sense. And I just want to say that if these get a little long, I'm hoping maybe the kids just enjoy, or it's just at least some time during the day where they're engaged in something. And I'm hoping that if this one's going to probably run well over a half an hour, that if you want to be done, then just push stop. But if you want your kiddo to keep listening, that would be great too. And I just wanted to explain again that they won't all be this long. Like I said, we're going to really get down where I'm not going to have to keep having the side comments or explaining, and you're probably sick of that part too. So, okay, I'm going to read this, but I'm going to probably just keep it to reading it today, and not the normal commentary, even though I want to. And yeah, so let's go. And we already went over all this. Okay, so there they are. We talked about that page. Okay, and then we said usually they're so great at breakfast. And then here we go. Here's what the next page should have been. They often sat together on the school bus, and after school they worked together happily on their special project, their own backyard tree house. So this is going to make more sense. So they worked on it together. So that probably is maybe why it wasn't so great when we read it in the wrong order. I couldn't figure out why they were so unhappy. But my guess is they had worked so hard together, and then something must happen where all of a sudden they're not happy with each other. But one gray morning, brother and sister didn't get along well at all. Maybe it was the weather, or maybe it was because the mockingbird slept late. But whatever it was, brother and sister bear got into a big fight. Sister bear opened her eyes and stretched, and then she sat up and let her legs dangle over the edge of the bed. Right, in brother bear's face. It was just one of those things that happens with bunk beds. Again, my boys had those as well. She just woke up out of bed. She's probably not thinking about it. She's just stretching it out, and he happens to be sitting. If he had been sitting on this side of the bed, it wouldn't have happened. If he had still been laying down, it wouldn't have happened. So it's just that it just happened that way. But he is getting up too, just out of sleeping. And yeah, would you want your brother or sister's feet in your face? No. So understandably now, they just woke up, but they're each upset for kind of good reason, in the fact that they don't understand what the other person's doing. So let's just see. And but what you're going to see is something that could have been something little, maybe on a different day when they didn't wake up, maybe crabby. Now it's turned into kind of a big deal. So we'll see. But that morning, brother was not in a good mood. Sister, he shouted, get your dopey feet out of my face. My feet aren't dopey, and they're not in your face, she shouted back. Get your dopey face out of my face, snarled brother. So dopey is kind of a word that people use to mean like dumb, not in a bad way, but if you're kind of dopey, or there's dopey dwarf, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, dopey, just kind of that. So they're not saying anything especially mean, but they're just trying to get at each other. Uh-oh, you shut up, snapped sister. I don't know about you at your house, but my boy, we are not allowed to say shut up. It's not a kind thing at all to tell someone. There's lots of other ways. And before brother could answer, she skipped into the bathroom ahead of him. There she goes. They must only have one bathroom. Maybe you have that at your house where you have to take turns. She took a very long time, brushing her teeth, washing up, and brushing her fur. You'd better come out of that bathroom, shouted brother, banging on the door. I probably don't have to explain these pages because I'm guessing this happens at lots and lots of houses, especially as you're getting older and you can get yourself ready for school by yourselves. Brother Bear, said Papa, coming out of his bedroom, you know better than to shout at your sister. But she's taking too long in the bathroom, complained brother, and she's doing it on purpose. And friends, it kind of seems like she might be. Going back, looking at these, now that he said that, I do. Her eyes show her kind of looking at the door like, yeah, I'm annoying him. We've all done that, I think. When Brother Bear raised his fist to bang on the door again, it opened, and out came Sister, all spruced up. That means done, like ready to go. Good morning, Papa, she said. As nice as you please, grrr, said Brother. So in this book, this is her dad, but they call him Papa. Just like you have different names for maybe your mom and dad, mommy, mama, mom, dad, Papa, and different names for grandpas and grandmas too. So I just want you to understand that that's the dad. Brother and sister didn't say please and thank you that morning at breakfast because they weren't speaking to each other. Uh-oh. And they didn't sit together on the school bus. Sister sat in the front and brother sat in the way back. Yep, there's that treehouse page again. Now it makes sense. They drew a line. Oops. Yep, there we go. All that had happened. Whew, they got so angry after all of this that they forgot they weren't speaking and began shouting at each other even louder than before. And then Papa lost his temper and began shouting at them to stop shouting. That happens a lot, I think. And here is what I tried to tell my boys. And I try to get to it before the shouting starts. I can hear sometimes if they're not getting along, I can hear how their voices are getting. And that's the same at school. When I'm doing something and maybe you guys have free choice time or you're playing, I can hear that maybe things aren't going so good. So the best thing I can do as an adult is get to that right away. Get over there, get to my boys, and figure it out first so that it doesn't get to the shouting. And then the hope is that if you do that enough times, that the shouting becomes saved for kind of big deals. So then Papa is getting really frustrated, as is what happens probably with most adults when kids start shouting and fighting over things that aren't emergencies. So he shouts. So now everybody's shouting. Probably no one's even hearing what each other even has to say, just big voices. And she is, Mom's not happy. Uh-oh. The neighbors didn't know which one was worse, the big storm or the racket coming from the bear's house. Mama had quite enough. She put 2 fingers in her mouth and whistled very, very loudly. When I'm reading this and I see these words, they're typed a little differently. So that means I say them a little differently. So that must mean it was pretty loud. And out of her mouth is one of those really big whistles, not maybe just a regular one that we can do. This one almost makes you want to cover your ears, and that's the point. She wanted their attention. Papa and the cubs were so surprised that they did stop shouting, so it worked. I didn't know that you could whistle like that, Mama. Well, I can, and I can also tell you, said Mama sternly. Sternly means she's very serious and not happy. That I've had quite enough of this foolish fighting. Why, I doubt you two even remember what you're fighting about. Do you remember what they're fighting about? Yep, they are fighting because Sister Bear sat up when she got up in the morning and stretched, and Brother Bear sat up in his bed, and it just happened that happened with her feet in his face. And now it has turned into all of this for the whole family. The cubs tried to remember, but they couldn't. Mama took the cubs into her lap. Everybody gets into an argument once in a while, she said, even folks who love each other very much. You and I don't have arguments, said Papa. Oh, yes, we do, said Mama. No, we don't, argued Papa. We're having one right now, said Mama, about whether or not we're having an argument. Oh, Papa. Well, Papa thought that one over. Mama went on to say that occasional, that means sometimes, arguments are part of living together. We get angry, we even call each other names, like dopey, and say things that we really don't mean. Like maybe that I don't like you anymore. Maybe with your friends you might say, we're not friends anymore, or I can't stand you, or wish you'd never come back. Maybe you say that to your brother or sister. And then after a while it's over. Oh, like that storm, said Sister. The rain had almost stopped and the sun was beginning to shine through the clouds. Oops, it would be nice if you could have seen that page. Yes, said Mom, like the storm. Look, said Papa. The sun shining on the last of the rain has made a rainbow. A rainbow is something very beautiful that happens after a storm, said Mama, looking at the cubs. You mean like making up after a big fight? Sort of, said Mom. So Brother and Sister Bear hugged and made up and got along just beautifully until the next time anyways. So it is an old book, but man, it is so fitting right now. So now maybe I think we've been home or we've been learning from home or staying at home now with our families for maybe a week, some of you more. And not being able to have other people over or to go places to kind of get your sillies out or get your energy out means it's happening at home, okay? You still have all the same energy, your kids, but now you have to let it out at home. And maybe the adult in your house is having to work, or maybe your bigger brother or sister is having to do their online learning, and your way of getting energy out might be distracting them. So even though it's not something that you were doing that was wrong or mean or trying to even annoy them, when we are together so much with people, we can get kind of annoyed by them. It doesn't mean we don't like them. It doesn't mean we don't love them. It means that we need some space. So that is where the lesson in all of this comes in. Maybe in the last week and going forward, there are going to be days, and thankfully we don't all feel this way in one day. Maybe once in a while that happens at your house where everybody wakes up grouchy, but typically maybe it's one person that wakes up feeling that way, and it's happened to all of us. Maybe you didn't get enough sleep, maybe you went to bed late, maybe you just don't know why. And usually you know it right away in the morning, okay? And you'll know it because maybe something you're hearing or something that doesn't usually bother you starts to bother you. Okay, that's called being crabby or grouchy. And it's okay to be that way. Let me tell you, the best thing that you can do, and I've told my boys this, is to just admit it right away. I do it too. Guys, I'm feeling a little grouchy today. Okay, so I'm sorry. But I just want you to know that it's me. I'm the grouchy one. And it might be hard right now, but you should find some space to go by yourself. Okay, you should find a coloring book or some Legos or whatever it is that you can do all by yourself. Maybe it's technology, but that doesn't feel like that's the best solution. It would be a book or coloring, something that you enjoy doing, and that you're using your body in some way to do, your hands or your brain, whatever that might be, and go do that thing for a little bit. And what happens is your body starts to do the thing that you love to do, and your mind instantly starts to calm. And you're able to listen to your own brain a little bit and maybe figure out why you're crabby or grouchy, and then maybe try to fix it. Some days you can't fix it. Some days you are grouchy from the minute you wake up until the minute that you go to sleep. But the best thing you can do is just kind of steer clear or stay kind of away from everybody else so that they can still have a really good day. And yeah, the boys and I talk about that a lot. It's a hard one when you're feeling that way and you feel cooped up and everybody's around you. But like I said, you just get up and you admit it. And yeah, the other thing that you have to remember is, and this is my last point, is before you go to bed at night, at least 10 minutes of your night, or 5 minutes, or whatever that is, and even for adults, need to be kind of calm for your brain. Even if you have to just turn off that podcast or that whatever that is for 5 minutes before you lay there, because in your brain you should go over your day quick. Was I a good son? Was I a good daughter? Or was I a good brother or sister? Was I a good mom or dad? Was I a good friend? What could I have done better? Settle up from that day, even if it was a grouchy day, and then the next morning you'll see that when you wake up, your mind feels a little bit more clear and ready to tackle whatever happens that day. So this one went really long, but I do appreciate you guys watching. I hope everybody is doing okay at their house. Really quick before we go, there was one birthday that we missed, and that is my little redheaded friend, January. And her birthday was on March 21st. So January, I hope you and your little brother Bo and your mom and dad still had lots of fun, okay? I miss you guys all. I hope I get to see some videos and pictures of how hard you're working. All right, take care. Be well.